Robert Mugabe is saying black people in Zimbabwe must get their land back. Something South Africans haven't experienced. If we were to do land grabs or get our land back, which was taken by the apartheid government, we might see ourselves sanctioned as well. Very good afternoon and a warm welcome to the virtual Mkhukhu on this really gloomy afternoon. Santanda Akulu Bafetu. If you're new on the channel, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Don't forget to click on the notification bell. We're over 12,000 subscribers now. We're on our way to 20,000. And we just want to give a shout out to our parent podcast, which is the Hustlers Corner, which is on its way to 200,000, which is 10 times what we're chasing now. So shout out to the Hustlers Corner. Thank you so much to everyone who sent comments on the video last week. I know we asked about which day to drop. You guys commented last week, and we're going to be experimenting based on the feedback that we got from you. As you guys know, also known as DJ Smooth.
How you doing, Mr. Black Pen?
I'm right, Buddha. How are you?
Pen you well, the Black Pen.
Pen you well, the Black Pen.
I'm good. Are you well? I remember who was saying that. I think it was Tutuzani.
Yeah.
Pen you well, the Black Pen.
Yeah, like a Trump call Quest, boy.
I'm good, man. Are you well?
No, I'm good. Guys,
good.
If you can touch on the Tangalazing.
No. There's no need. I just wanted to say...
There were comments about the Tangalazing.
Yeah, it's because Justice was shooting like Matangeni on the previous episode. But I'm glad we're dropping this episode on a Tuesday because it's an experiment. I kind of feel when we were still on Virtual Mkhukhu, on almost every episode there, the whole of last year, we're promoting that Virtual Mkhukhu will be existing on its own platform on Mondays. So I feel we promoted that the Mondays episode, we promoted it that long.
Yeah.
So much so that right now we experimented still on a Monday, but dropped at 10 a.m., which we saw good that episode did not perform as well as all the other episodes would in terms of graphically now this graph, just the growth when you're analyzing data from one episode to the next. That's how we're going. When we got to that 10 a.m. video, the graph went like this. And then last week we went back to 12 o'clock, went back again. So Penuel feels Tuesdays probably might even be better. So that's the reason why we dropped this episode on a Tuesday. So if it doesn't perform, we're back Mondays at 12 o'clock.
Who wants Monday? I want Tuesday. Vote for me. Vote Tuesday on 08 Idols. Vote Tuesday for me.
No, man.
I said, look on my side. I saw the comments, guys. We apologize, man. Same Queen, of course. And some people are like, why is Tangalazela? We're trying to fix that. We're not trying to disrespect anyone. I know some of our alternative sexuality mates were enjoying the Vezitanga Mondays. Unfortunately today we're dressed up. How's your week been?
I've been good. I've been doing a lot of real estate stuff with Ekasi Noble Property Development. There's a brand new development in North Riding. Some great, incredible opportunities there. Investments are starting from 250,000 rands for an equivalent 250 square stand. It's at North Riding Equestrian Estate.
250 square meters.
Yeah,
that's huge. I think RDP is 40.
I don't know the square meters of an RDP.
So that's huge.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, other people would like a big yard, would prefer a 500 or 1,000. It's up to you. You can buy a double stand or you can buy 4 stands and build one house in 4 stands. That's totally up to you. But it's the north of Johannesburg, just right next to Kuro, right next to Eagle Canyon, next to Reimsig. Those areas, Olivedale Clinic, prime area. It's a very good area. So get in touch with the Ekasi Noble Property Development. I speak to them quite a lot on the other platform, on the Hustlers Corner. That's what I was doing this week. We're doing some work with the BSBC, which is an accredited body by the government that regulates how builders should build or property developers on certain rules and regulations they should follow and guidelines when they're building, whatever they're building, whether residential or commercial, whatever it is. So we had to go back and forth, visit them. Sanbonani, NHRSBC, right? I keep making a mistake. I'm gonna bring you guys MOFAYA the next time I come visit. And we are also visiting next week Geosciences Council. So there's a lot of things you need to, there's a lot of things I'm learning.
Yeah.
around property development. And I'm just thankful and grateful to Sis Mapaseka, no Butsia, Nabo Putlebza, Nabo Witness, Nabo Titimba, a lot of the people that I'm working with and that I'm learning from in property development. It's beautiful. I think in the future, I'll be doing great developments, Mina. Ogwamanja, I'm an ambassador and I'm humbled to learn from them. And I would like to tell you to go check them out, Ekasi Noble Property Development. They've got opportunities in North Riding, Bears, Nodia, and they've got some opportunities in Randfontein as well. Go check them out on Facebook, Ekasi Noble Property Development. That's what I've been doing the whole week, meetings every day.
That's too dope. Guys, even if you don't have the 250,000, from my side, especially if you're young, property is the core investment of almost every billionaire on the planet. Almost all of them have got property in their portfolio. So I urge you, whenever Osbu goes on his social media and he says we've got a meeting or whatever, kibela matex and go there just so you can learn. So that the day you have a pay slip, the day you have a little bit of money, or maybe with the pinches mhlampe about 10, ngifake ama 2.5, ama 5,000, hlanganisa that money so you can start becoming property entrepreneurs. But it starts with you wanting to learn. Not just reading books, but actually going there, meeting the guys at Ekasi, meeting up with Usbuda as well. On the property front, one of the news items that came out is that the Johannesburg Social Housing Company, all their properties in Johannesburg, half of the residents have not been paying rent. And there's currently a debt of over 250 million rand of abantu abangayikhokhi rent. And I think when this country collapses, it's going to be all of these little signs. Abantu abanayinyuka, of course, we had COVID and those things happening, but half of the residents are not paying rent. 250 million. Each is going to fall apart tomorrow. The economy is going to fall apart tomorrow, and then we're going to wonder what happened.
And talking about property, Ekasi Noble Property Development is doing a property development seminar on the 15th of April, 15 April. So go check them out on Facebook, Ekasi Noble Property Development. Go register or go buy tickets so you can come through and experience. Titimba will be there, a brother who's amazing in property. His name is Witness Mdaga.
Yes, I know Witness. I met him in Bloemfontein. Shout out to Witness Mdaga, yeah.
Incredible brother. Ntwane Sekaslam. We as a witness, during the week. He's going to be there, Titimba, myself, and a whole lot of other property developers. So I'm looking forward to the 15th of April. Check out that seminar. What he's talking about, we will be there. So you've got an opportunity to come through and join us, have a chat with us. Even if you're probably not in property, but you just want to come and listen, just want to chill there for like 2-3 hours, you're more than welcome to do so. So go to their Facebook, Ekasi Noble Property Development. Now, over the past week, also another story that I've heard of. I'm like, why have I been living? I've been here, I came back beginning January, but I've been here pretty much this whole year. And last week I hear of a story, a brother called Thabo Bester. I don't know who's Thabo Bester. I don't know actually who's Thabo Bester. I'm just, what's going on? So I'm just, probably I've been living under a rock. Because everybody started coming for me and saying, where have you been living? And they're not telling me about these stories. They're like, where have you been living? Where have I been living?
I'm the wrong person to speak about Thabo Bester.
Oh, I'm the wrong person. Okay.
I want to say this on the property, just to close off the property. I hope at some point DJ Euphonic comes back and educates us on property. I know he's big in the property game. Shout out to Ikhrodmanu Oskido. I saw he's been promoting some of his property. I don't know if it's at Waterfall City or somewhere there that he's promoting as well. So the other thing I want to add is the property game is deeper than just the buildings. There are various people around that. There are quantity surveyors, there are lawyers, there are accountants, there are landscape people. Of course, there's construction people. There's people that go to set up businesses close to those spaces and places because the children there need schools. The people there need clinics. The people there need retail stores. So when you hear property, don't just say, "Hey, property is not for me." There might be something in what you're doing that can plug into the property game, and you can become the accountant of choice, the lawyer of choice, the quantity surveyor, the developer of choice for some of these guys in the property game. Thabo Bester, he burnt to death in prison, and someone cited him in Johannesburg, and now all of a sudden there's a frenzy. But the police said this guy got burnt in jail, but people are seeing him. Two of the forensics were never done, so there was no verification that it was really him. There's a story that's coming out that this guy was hosting a seminar to people at an exclusive event from prison. apparently is a very notorious criminal in this country from a very young age. Like I said, I'm not the right person. I don't know Thabo Bester's files, but as far as Thabo Bester, that's what I know. And it's caused a huge frenzy. And again, it's shone a spotlight on our policing department, maybe our correctional facilities departments, to be like, what are our police doing? Are they involved in corruption? If this guy really escaped from prison and he's still out there at large, athi namapoyisa. Njengamanje, it's over a month now. Justice for AKA and Tibbs. We're still waiting. Senzo Meyiwa, it's going on, I think, close to 10 years now. Ukuthi amapoyisa ethu ngathi are corrupt, ngathi they're involved with these criminals that are out there. And now we can't trust our jails. We can't trust our policing services. And if you go to a channel called the Agenda Network, you'll hear a lot of the ex-convicts there speaking about some of the corruption in jail from the people that we entrust to take care of us as South African citizens.
A couple of weeks ago, Nota spoke on the Hustlers Corner podcast we're speaking about his Inkabi, and he said some people actually get let go from jail to go commit crimes outside, and then they get recaptured.
Sure.
Back into jail. I didn't know that. I didn't even believe that. For some reason, that channel that you're talking about, the Agenda Network, I actually saw 2 stories where where the ex-prisoners were saying, basically confirming what Nota was telling me. And then, I'm hearing of the Thabo Bester story. Are you saying he was hosting seminars from prison?
Yes.
On Zoom?
Yes.
He's a king, man.
Pause.
That's dope. I wouldn't say he's a notorious criminal. Why not? If I were to be in prison and I'm allowed to, I can host seminars from prison.
He was scamming and stealing people's money.
How do you know?
Oh, those are the reports.
Oh, okay.
Yes, no, it's not my...
Yeah, but I need to know at some point you are paying, you all the black pen, you charge.
Yes.
Now I charge.
Yes.
Some people pay me for me to come and give my talks.
Yes.
And some talks are not in person or physical, but they are online. Where they're like, it's just an online one. How much would you charge us? Maybe it's half the price. I charge lesser because it's online.
Yes.
And then they pay me and I host seminars from my house. I'm going to say when you're a prisoner, your house is the prison.
Sure.
What's wrong with hosting seminars from the prison?
So again, I'm not the right person to speak about Thabo Bester. He was not doing motivational speaking in that video. He was not telling people about life in prison.
Okay.
The people at the seminar and at the gala event were not aware that he was in prison.
Oh.
And what I mean by scamming is that he was getting people to invest in Ponzi schemes.
Oh,
not to your motivator, guys. No, it wasn't motivation. In that instance, we wouldn't mind. It could be a choir, it could be motivation, it could be anything. He wasn't doing that. He was acting as if he's out of the country. And these people thought, okay, look to say New York. Therefore, look to all the squatters out there and the hustlers that are going to be here. Please drop some of the links for people that don't know Thabo Bester so that they can go and read up and research on the story of this guy. So he was committing criminal acts from prison with the people not knowing. Yeah. So it's not a situation of people were paying him SHL just to do motivation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the people that want to be schooled. Guys, please put in some links there.
Please.
Let me just check out who Thabo Bester is. But for me, it sounds like clever, you know?
Speaking about
Nakon, I don't know. Maybe after reading the links, I might change my mind. But for now, if his only crime was hosting seminars from prison, I say that's dope. Sure. Why not?
Speaking about Inkabi, a shout out to Big Zulu and Java, who are currently planning to release a joint album in May called Ukamba. They've released a single on the 24th of March called Imbai Mbai. Java is umfana uJabulani Hadebe, Big Zulu umfana uSiyabonga Nene. Abafana base Bergville. They know the Natal where I come from, where I hail from. And I remember in one of the interviews they were asked, why do you guys call yourselves Inkabi? Because Inkabi is seen as a negative, derogatory term of a hitman. And Big Zulu was trying to explain, look, Inkabi is a cow. It's a type of cow, Inkabi. But then people took that name, of course, and then they used it for other things. And when we say Inkabi Yami, the same way I guess Americans be like, yo, what's up, my nigga? The same way maybe a Tupac would say thug life. Not to say go be a thug and a criminal, it's to say the lifestyle we live. Because we live in such tough times, it's almost like I'm a thug because I have to hustle every day. I mean, the word hustle itself comes from a negative background. Hustling was committing certain crimes to get money, but today we speak about hustling in terms of humble panta, go try and make something of your life. So they were trying to say that Inkabi Zezwe, Big Zulu's Java, I want to say congrats to Abafwetu.
No, I'm thinking of Thug Life because I was a very big Tupac fan. I still am. I miss that Khorot man.
West Side.
I miss him like he was my own Khorot man. So I remember back in the day, he used to explain Thug Life. The hate you gave little infants. The hate you gave little infants. I don't know what the FE, I don't remember. But sure. Yeah. But Tupac was, Tupac.
Shout out to Amandla Steinberg. There's actually a movie called The Hate You Give. Amandla Steinberg stars in it, and it touches on some of these concepts of being a thug and that acronym of what a thug is and what it's meant to be, and why so many black people, especially in America, are misunderstood. So, it's not necessarily that the person's a hitman, but it's a term of affection that guys use for each other. You can decide if you agree or disagree, just like people calling themselves nigger or not. But like I said, Big Zulu, shout out to the guys for that joint album, which we anticipate in May.
The shout out to Amachimbos. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm a big fan of both of them. Last week I got a chance to hang out with them. FM.
Yes.
Who's the president of Amapiano. We had a great time. Umaklingwane invited us. He was like, I'm in Johannesburg for a couple of days. Sibuda Ugupi. Right now I'm around. What you know, I think it's called Zweloguhle BNB, if not Zweloguhle Guest House.
Yeah.
Beautiful place. I really enjoyed being there. And congratulations and shout outs to, I know we're speaking about property earlier, shout outs to everybody who's turning their old 4-roomed houses, Ekasi, and building them into becoming very nice rental rooms. Especially those that put in an effort to make it look nice, have good Wi-Fi, have good services for people. That's another good business where you can start your real estate career. You're one of the people that have inherited the 4-room again. Rather turn that 4-room into, you make it a double story, whatever it is, so that it can give you lifetime rental income. Coming back to Mkhukhu, he introduced me to Inkabi. And he would say,
Jeez.
And then
real hitman.
No, not hitman.
Oh, Abafwetu.
You were just explaining.
No, but really Inkabi, what you mean?
Oh, no.
Real.
Yeah, but that's what they were saying. But
Okay.
Inkabi zamampela ke nazi. Hayi lento yenu yokuthi nithi inkabi abantu ababulala abantu.
Okay.
Inkabi sikhuluma ngendoda enje. And then bekhona uButkhanyile lapha ayishayile. Aphethe negani yakhe inine ayishayi yafaka ibrand utakanuka kamnandi agqoke kahle nje. A fresh.
Sure.
Abanye babazange bavele ecamereni because they were on the other side of the house.
Sure.
Behleli nje kuphuzwa kwashwa imoto. It was very nice.
Sure.
It was a beautiful environment. So Nami, I'm just saying, me sitting there, I was explained to guys. Go check out that episode. Mkhukhu, president of Amapiano Nation, where they do explain towards the end of the episode, Lapana was he Inkabi, according to them, and then showing me an example of that's Inkabi,
Yes.
Then that's what they were explaining.
Beautiful.
As well. I'm basically adding on to your point of what Big Zulu and Java was saying.
Sure. No, thank you for that. Shout out to Mkhukhu, siyakuthanda kakhulu mfowethu. To all of you guys, abafowethu baseNatali, le phansi kwaZulu. I wanted to add this to this Java and Big Zulu thing, because in the interview I was watching, they were speaking in isiZulu. Bayeqhenya with ilimi lakubo. Knowing that both guys come from a hip-hop background and they both can rap very comfortably in English, and the fact that they chose to ignite Zulu culture and Zulu tradition. And we speak about your Ladysmith Black Mambazo, and they speak about the way they dress. And even if you look at some of the pictures on Google regarding their album, ngathi ama-Soul Brothers, ngendlela abapose ngakhona ey'ntabeni, uKhahlamba there in the Drakensberg. The fact that we need to come back and own the beauty that is our culture and our heritage. And I think of King Monada, I think of Makadzi, I think of what the beauty that could have happened with Ijozi. When you think of Obongani, Crazy Lou, the LES, Ishmael, when they were merging Umpakanga and hip hop. So a lot of the 2000, obviously now, shout out to Blackie, and I saw Blackie just did a track with Elaine, and Elaine, it's the first time she's singing isiZulu, and it's the first time she's featuring someone on a track. Shout out to Black and Elaine. But Nasty C as well, these guys that they buy into this American culture, which Omzegezege used to call Amakoporosh back in the day. But don't forget to merge where possible so that the world wants something unique. Because now you listen to a track and you're like, oh, this is an American kid. You're like, no, this is a South African kid. And you're like, but how do you know? So somewhere in there, it's just an appeal from me to all our local artists, especially the ones that lean towards an American influence. Try and add something flavorful. I mean, you show my Josie, if you look at how she dresses, you know, your attire, you can rap, it's American, but you know, add maybe some vernac words. Instead of saying, what's up, my nigga, you're like, yo, what's up, my Inkabi? That could even catch flame on the continent and across the seas. It's up to us to actually be proud of our culture
What's up, my
and our
Inkabi?
heritage. And last week, Sbu and I were speaking about our local celebrities who love wearing international brands. And as beautiful as Abafwe, Brentwood, Kavela, or Dickies and Lovers and all these guys, a lot of these brands are not local. People don't even know that Dickies is South Africa. Or All Star, Jack Purcell are not South African brands. So it's a call to some of our artists, Wuti, what is the local alternative to Brentwood, to Kavela, to Dickies that we can be proud of? And then must go say, Nuagamnandi, Mfuta brand layer likau yet drip. I forgot the name of his. I don't know if it's Elegance. The name of his deodorant and perfume. Ufute that thing. Shaipa to see Kenya, not just with our language, not just with our culture, but also in terms of our way. We're in that era now, so Nyaitandi Brentwood and all those things. But Buffet, so I think let's try and start looking into our local designers and our local way. See Kenya as well. No say Pegville, no more Nongoma, no say Ngutu, no say Msinga. Shout out to our Abafana Baseka Yukim Nopoki of my late uncle Umtofi, Winfred Gnen, Abafana Bagagnen. I know Kim, for example, wants to get into Maskandi. But for you, as you guys grow in these industries, please make sure that you're celebrating local in everything. In everything that you're doing.
It's called finesse. Yes, finesse.
What was I thinking about elegance? Is that DJ Zintle?
Finesse.
Finesse.
DJ Zintle and Murder from Black Motion are
the ambassadors.
The ambassadors and partners, I think,
sure.
With our Olikau and the Drip Group.
Yeah.
With the perfume Finesse. Sorry.
Thank you so much. So, we had Baba, Asheli Mhlope, Upuzi Kemis, Umfazo Mnyama. Today we've got a whole lot of young Maskandi artists. And my plea again is if you're in the hip hop space, please try and reach out to some of these Maskandi artists and work with them and collaborate and make something flavorful where your hook, at least your hook, make it South African so that when someone in Nigeria, someone in America is listening to it. I think Afro beats, that's what made them so unique, that it was an authentic Nigerian sound. As I see, Mr. Ibu and Africa Magic on DSTV. So we need an authentic sound. And if we can also bring back Keep or Scoop or Siabonga Ngwegazi now the LES, those are nice brands. Keep is our thing. When you tell the story overseas of what these things are and what they represent, when we speak about MOFAYA, so to Abafwe to say, as much as try and bring some of the other elements as well. City notes in us pushes into, but then when I look at your attire, you're actually pushing American brands because then it kind of clashes. And it's up to us to change that narrative. As much as we're giving a shout out to Putabadala, Abasfundis Ukotin, etc.
No, I totally agree as well. And I always see Guti, anything that is authentically South African sort of is interesting to people outside of here. Even the way we do our thing. And let me just say, South African culture is just very interesting to the world. South African music is more loved even when it's more African, when it leans more towards the African side. Even Afrobeat. Yeah. It's very big. It's melodic. The dances are amazing. But the way they do it, they're proud of their pidgin English. Yeah. For lack of a better word, so to call it, how Nigerian brothers and sisters do their thing. Yeah. How they would speak. So even in a lot of the Afrobeat songs, they just do their pidgin English proudly so. Yeah. They do it their own way, just like how the Raga guys used to do it their own way in dancehall. 100%. And the Jamaican guys used to do their own thing. Afrobeat has caught fire. It's Now, one of the biggest genres globally. When I was in the US, Afrobeats is so huge that it gave me joy for me to actually play Amapiano when I was playing there. Because Amapiano is also an authentically South African sound. As much as Ekasi South Africa, you know, it's easy for us to be like, hey, this is really Amapiano. It's because you are here and you hear it all the time. But as soon as you go outside of this country, you get to see if there's one of the most amazing exports we've ever created in South Africa is the Amapiano genre of music, because it's caught fire. I think another thing also is because of where we are with the internet.
100%.
It's blowing up. It's actually even getting bigger and bigger, even in the US. That's the reason why even when I was in the US, I play house music. I love house music. But I'm also a musician. Like, I love music. So when I got an opportunity to be there and to go to Sway, I kind of felt I'm not gonna go on Sway and, you know, I did not think about what I was not gonna do. I thought of what I was gonna do. I was like, I'm gonna go there. You shy sound as Ekasi. You need to remember, I come from the Kwaito generation. In my mind, the piano is Kwaito. So I was proud to get an opportunity to go to a hip hop show where it sound as sometimes has never been played before, and go rock a piano set. That was so dope that it didn't only go viral, but a lot of the South Africans that are that side started saying to my DMs, when you're coming to that show, because a lot of them had already heard, I've got shows, I'm coming to their city or whatever. They were DMing me and saying, we're looking forward to hearing that piano set. We're looking forward to hearing that piano set. And now in my mind, I was like, I'm going to go there and be authentically South African and rap Ikaslam, and I'm going to play piano. And that's the best decision I could have ever made, because piano is popping. And then I saw that even when I try and play some house music, the mood gets a little bit.
Bafuni piano, because that's what's hot right now.
The Bafuni piano. Yabona nina nalintina like us. Ngoba senilitshwayele nilizwa njalo. Phesheya kulapha bathanda balfuna. And for me, I look at it, I'm like, wow, this is a global space. This genre is blowing up. Guys are gigging all over the UAE. They're gigging all over Europe. I'm gigging here in America. I'm gonna play piano on all of my sets. That's what I ended up doing. And all my events were sold out. People appreciated my sets. I got even more work because I guess, you know, I gave a lot of people joy. So it shows you, Uguti, people from outside appreciate us when we are more African authentic. Even when you look at a Grammy Award that was won by Mr. Kellerman, Zex Bantwini, Usis Nomcebo Zigote, you would think that they'd probably win a Grammy with their other most famous songs. But they won a Grammy with a song that is like very African. You listen to that song, you're like, that's like more African than anything. So, you know, which should tell you, Uguti, that's what is appreciated by the world over. When you look at guys like Trevor Stearman, when you look at guys like Latu Mkhukhu, when you look at guys like Nelson Makamo, the world is appreciating our culture, whether from the clothing side in terms of styling, as I was speaking about Trevor Stearman, whether it's actually our brands, because a lot of them were giving me props on the drip shoes that I was wearing and the batu shoes that I was wearing. They can't wait. They want to buy their own pairs. Some of them I was giving them the online platforms where they can order. Whether it's our clothing design. I mean, I remember even when Java went overseas, I think it was the BT Awards about 3 or 4 years ago, you know, they like that. So instead of us trying to sound like them, trying to be like them, they actually want to be like us. It's actually the other way around, which is actually very interesting.
I just want to say on Amapiano, shout out again to Kabza the Small and Maporisa. A young gentleman that I had the pleasure of meeting many years ago who was very ambitious, is on the come up in terms of Afrikaans popular music, Mr. CEE, who's done a remix of Bastrata. Please check out Mr. C, bro. I'm so proud of you and I'm looking forward to your constant rise.
Big Afrikaans.
As a musician and an artist.
Big Afrikaans.
Big Afrikaans.
That is his AKA.
Yeah.
Sure.
I wanted to send a shout out. Look, some of the brands you guys may not know, which I hope will make a comeback at some point. Lokshan Culture, Stone Cherry, San Goddess. You know, we don't give these guys enough props. And I think, again, if you're young, go and find these brands. And you don't necessarily have to create your own. If you look at someone like Tom Ford, some of the international designers that are popular now, they started under other big brands. and they apprenticed and they had their own range under a big brand. So it could be Upenwell under Stone Cherry. And then later on, once your brand is big enough and known enough, then you break away and you go and create your own brand. So please find our local brands and push those. I think that would be really dope.
Thank you very much for remembering Sun Goddess and Stone Cherry and Lokshan Culture.
Yeah.
Because they actually were the first.
They were the precursors.
Yeah.
I mean, Mamu Felicia Mabuza on Eyewear as an example. You know what I mean? So radio DJs that are coming through, I think it starts in April next month. I don't know many radio DJs, but I know a few, especially from my UJ days. And I just want to send a huge shout out to DJ Ankle Tap, who had his last show last week Friday on YFM. When I went to visit YFM a couple of years ago, Ankle Tap was still there. I think he's been on radio for 12 years. Mansui Pout was there. She moved to 5FM with DJ Fresh at some point. These are people I went to school with. I just want to say congrats. Good luck with the new chapter. And to all the new guys, about DJ Sabi, I saw that those Kumbas moving to be with DJ Sabi on Breakfast, I think on Metro. Everyone who's coming through with the new slots, etc. Good luck, guys. We're hoping to hear more new voices. Shout out to Kai FM, which put Sol Pendua on last year. We're hoping to hear more new voices, and we're looking forward to a new season of radio in this country.
I miss radio, bro. I miss radio. I miss radio so much. Congratulations as well to all the new guys that have been hired on all the different radio stations. Shout out to all the brand new talent. Some of you guys who started on campus radio, started on community radio like we did.
About Melody Mia.
Yeah, shout out to Melody. And you've just been given this opportunity to be now on this commercial platform. Maybe it's your first time you're producing, or how I got into YME now. It didn't go on air immediately. I started producing, technical producing.
Sure.
So at the time I was using a software called Cool Edit. I know that was before about Pro Tools. I think about FL Studio came in a bit later. But at the time we were using about Logic, Nabo Cool Edit. I was, doing jingles, doing ads, and just being a technical producer and coming up with ideas and concepts just behind the scenes. And at some point, I eventually got a chance to go on the mic. I just want to congratulate all of you guys as well. That is just getting all of those opportunities to be on those commercial platforms. It doesn't have to be you being on the mic. You don't have to be the main person on the mic. Even if you're just a supporting team, you're going to be the producer, you're going to be the writer, the technical producer, you're going to be the videographer, you're going to be handling social media. I've worked with a lot of you guys, and I'm also proud of a lot of you guys that I've worked with when you were young and starting out and coming up. And now a lot of you guys are doing your thing. You are the ones that are hosting your own shows. You are the ones that are getting hired in all these different platforms. I'm so proud of you. And yes, congratulations to all of our new talent and our big names as well that are being moved from one station to the next. And for those that are moving from so-called big shows into smaller shows where you end up feeling like you're being fired, or you end up feeling like you're being demoted, you are not. We also come from there. When I moved from YFM to Metro, shout out to Leslie Ntlogo, he was recruiting me to come and do a Metro FM breakfast show.
Yeah.
But he said, because it's still in the middle of the year, Kenny Maestro was doing breakfast at the time. Yeah. I think Kenny Maestro was moving on the next season. They put me for a couple of months on a weekend show on a Saturday. But when the time came, when this time came, at that time, I think it was 2010. For some reason, Leslie Ntlogo ended up not giving me the breakfast anymore.
Jeez.
I was like, but I joined Metro because I was promised the morning show.
Yeah.
And now I'm stuck with this 1 week a show. I'm used to going on radio 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Now it's just one show a week. At YFM, breakfast.
Sure.
I shouldn't have left my old job. But somebody, I don't even remember who it was, whether it was one of my mentors or whether it was my mom's. I don't remember, but somebody said to me, the advice I'm going to give you is go take that one show and kick ass.
Yeah.
Make that one show the best ever Saturday afternoon radio show that Metro FM has ever experienced.
Yeah.
Go give South Africa that. Go create a show like that. And then I sat down with the music guy. Shout outs to Nati, VJ Nati at Metro, Nati Ntangeni. We sat down. We workshopped the music, the type of music we were going to play. And then I came up with one major feature on my show. My show wasn't complicated at all. It was one major feature of the entrepreneur for 1 hour. Yeah. And then I must make sure that I give people vocal, soulful house.
Sure.
That was way before piano.
Sure.
It was when house was big in the country at the time.
Sure.
And me being a house DJ and knowing house and loving house music, and Nati knowing music the way he does, his experience was amazing. We came together and I put together a 1 week show. It became the biggest of that slot. I think it was a 12 to 3. It was the biggest that Metro FM has ever had, a 12 to 3 slot. And it also introduced me to the likes of Abo Robert Kumete, Abo Dr. Tim Tebeila, Abo Mubin Khan, all these business people that I brought to the show and I profiled, and who ended up becoming my friends. Some of them ended up becoming my mentors. Some of them ended up coming to my Leadership 2020 events. You know, I literally was inspired to even take the journey of becoming a full-on entrepreneur because of that show, because of the type of people I was bringing, and because of their stories and the incredible things that they had done. You couldn't interview all of those people and be a failure
and
after
the
that.
same.
Yeah, I became different and I became a beast. I think that's what ushered me to Abo Leadership 2020. It ushered me all the way to Abo MOFAYA. But that's just one show that I decided I'm gonna make this one show the best 1 week, one show a week I can ever create.
You turn lemons into lemonade.
Into lemonade.
Shout out to AK.
So that's what I want to say to you guys as well. So if you feel demoted, you're moving from a big morning show or a big afternoon drive show or a big radio station into a smaller station, or maybe some of you guys are not on radio anymore. Here we are. Here's an example. You can grab a camera, podcast. You don't even have to buy a camera. Penuel does videos that does thousands of views with just a phone. So it's not all over. Don't look at yourself as a failure. Don't look at it as a demotion. Don't look at it as the end of the world. Look at it as a new chapter that you are getting into. So shout outs to Uncle Tabs as well for inviting me. I came through your last show. It was great, my brother, experiencing your radio over the past decade in Johannesburg. All the best with all the incredible work that you'll be doing at UFM. And the Kardashian sister, she's joining Metro FM. She was working with
Kim, not Kim.
Candice, Candice is joining Metro. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say with all the radio talent that's moving up and down. Congratulations all of you guys. For those that are starting new chapters, start it. It's a new chapter. Grab a camera, podcast, do your thing. You still have the talent. Even now, I miss radio. I was thinking actually even this morning as I was showering, I'm like, if you miss radio, Sbu, yes, you've done massive Metro, you've created homegrown. Why don't you go back into any one of those platforms or create another one? Why don't you create your own morning show where it's actually a radio show? There's the internet. And I'm like, exactly. What am I waiting for? Am I waiting for somebody to give me a call and hire me? No. I might as well just show. I've been thinking about it this morning. And it's something I thought of a couple of months ago, but I didn't take seriously. But now I'm thinking about it even more harder to say it would be dope to create like a radio studio and just have my own DJ Sbu live mixes, because I love DJing, inviting some of my friends and just doing a radio show, not a podcast like this. There's a difference between podcasting and a radio show. Podcasting, you know, and radio has got that energy that you bring with radio, man, that you can't do with just podcasting. I can't speak like this when I'm with Manuel, when I'm podcasting. You know, there's just something about radio. There's just some other energy about radio, and that's the difference.
I just want to send a shout out, man, also to Wasanga Mayhem, UJ. He was at UJ FM at some point. Shout out to Umaple, who's on Kai FM now. These are all the young guys I went to varsity with. If you are at varsity, it's nice to attend lectures. It's nice to get good marks. It's nice to do sports and those things. But there are so many other opportunities on campus. Part of them being get involved on campus radio. You know, there's Tux FM, which is big. There's Voice of Wits, which is kind of big. And I was at Wits this past week. Maybe I'll speak about it just now. But just on the radio, guys, whatever opportunities are at school, you're going to be the next big star because you started on campus radio. Like I said, Umelody Mia as well was at UJFM, Mansui Pout, and so many other people. Take advantage of the resources and platforms you have while you're still at varsity, where you have free Wi-Fi to start your podcast in your res room, so that by the time you become big, some of the biggest stars that you guys know that started their clothing brand, started their varsity. Some started their businesses at varsity, and then they grew into something bigger than them. Bill Gates, one of the wealthiest men in the world, Mark Zuckerberg, one of the wealthiest men in the world, they started their businesses scale at Harvard. So there's nothing stopping you from starting there. I was at Wits this past week. Shout out to Dlamini Attorneys and Untabse Dlamini. Thank you so much for inviting me to come and speak to high school students You know, she's got a passion for the black child, and she's got a passion for black kids, especially here in Johannesburg and around the country, who have never been exposed to institutions of higher learning. We got there, we were speaking to the kids. I told the kids that I matriculated in 2003, Babamba Makanda, because some of them were only born in 2007 to show good success. You know, we've been moving along this journey. But it was a really great experience for kids to speak to the SRC, to find out about financing, to find out about the various careers that tertiary institutions can offer. I was brought in there to do a reality check, to explain to kids that, look, there's sex, there's drugs, there's alcohol. Some kids are not going to make it to tertiary. Some of the kids, even if they get accepted, are going to struggle with funding and how to wire your mind to understand that life is long. And just because you don't have funding for next year, just because you didn't get the marks you wanted, just because you're not going to study the course you wanted, doesn't mean it's the end of the road. Turn lemons into lemonade. You might have an opportunity in that gap year to do business, to meet people in your town who are running businesses. In that gap year, you start maybe a vodcast, which ends up becoming something really brilliant. So turn lemons into lemonade. And make sure that you use whatever opportunities that you have.
Shout outs to MoFlavor. I remember when he was still new at YFM, I was hosting the morning show at YFM at the time. He was one of the youngsters that I brought into my morning show. And I said, tell us who you are. And just to see him having had to host the biggest shows on YFM, both on YFM and on Metro. I'm very proud of you, my brother. Congratulations. I knew from the beginning that, you know, you'd have a great career in this business because you belong here. And you've done incredible work over the years. And I also heard that he's moving from the breakfast show on Metro. And let me just mention to also the youngsters who don't know, who might see McG today having built this amazing podcast that he's built. It didn't start from there. McG started from like kids TV, kids entertainment, back in the day. I remember when McG was still new at YFM, he hosted a show before my morning show. He was on Graveyard, actually. He turned a graveyard show into such a big show. Yeah. And every time when you get a DJ who's handing over to you a big listenership, it's a good feeling. Yeah. And it's good to have a guy, you know, who hands over to you a good chunk of listeners. Sure. That's what MacGyver would do. My morning show started at 6 at YFM. MacGyver would knock off at 6. I think it would start at 3 a.m. or something like that. And then he did so well. And that was a graveyard show that he had. He did so well that at some point him and MoFlavor had Johannesburg buzzing. They had their own brand of condoms called Rock the Girls condoms. I don't know if you remember them.
No.
Or you were not in Joburg at the time. They were called Rock the Girls. They were called Rock the Girls condoms. They had their own condoms. They had their own parties. MacGyver used to break songs. I mean, I remember a track called Gabriel.
Very popular song that.
MacGyver broke that song. He used to rock it every morning. Even at parties, he used to play it like crazy. You don't see MacGyver playing piano now. He used to play house. Like we all used to play house. And MacGyver was up and coming, did really well. MoFlavor, they partnered up. They came up with the Rock the Girls brand. They did so many parties. They came up with their own condoms. They were killing it in Johannesburg. MoFlavor moved to Metro. I think MacGyver moved to Highveld. And subsequently, MacGyver was fired. He was down and out. He started from scratch. At some point, he wanted to give up on the podcast because he had been running it for over 2 years, putting in a lot of episodes. I think he had recorded over 100 episodes. It wasn't breaking. And we had a long conversation. And he even says it he said it on his platforms that I inspired him and encouraged him to keep going with the podcast, and it ended up blowing up, becoming Podcast and Chill. And I just want to say to all of you young guys out there, not only the guys that are going back and forth in the radio industry, even the ones that are joining, not only you guys, but just every young person out there, Uguti, you can turn lemons into lemonade. You can start from humble beginnings into becoming great, just like a MoFlavor, just like a MacGyver, just like a Penuel the Black. His star is rising every day. 2 years from now, he won't be this Penuel. 2025, his star would have probably doubled, tripled, or quadrupled because he puts in work daily, non-stop. He is consistent. So you also have to be consistent in turning those lemons into lemonade.
Thank you so much, Buddha. I wanted to say on the Amapiano and Afro beats, guys, please check out Afro Tech as well. I think it's also on the come up. I know Zex Bantwini featured Afro Tech, I think, on his album as well. That's a new genre that's coming up. I know Big Zulu will speak about Ishun as a genre as well that's coming up.
Ishun.
Shun.
Oh, Shun. Okay.
Shun and Inkabi. Yeah. As a genre that they're also promoting as well.
But Afro Tech's been around though. Black coffee. Okay, black coffee.
So I think they're making it popular.
I get you.
To a person like myself.
But
and
globally it is
popular.
popular. Globally it's been.
Techno music.
Yeah, so they mix techno and African music.
That's what I mean.
Afro house. So coffee.
Are you saying Afro tech's been around or just techno?
Techno has been around.
Sure.
No, I'm saying Afro tech's been around. So black coffee took deep house, and because of his African influence into it, people would call it Afro deep.
Okay.
And then he started experimenting with some techno sounds, and he used his African influence to make techno deep and African.
Sure.
And I think that was what. And then don't quote me wrong and say I said Black Coffee started Afro tech, but he is credited as one of the people that made it big globally, and it's a big genre globally.
Sure.
It's pretty much a lot of people say it's under the umbrella of Afro house.
Yeah.
And the nickname for Afro house is what we call Afro. We just say Afro.
Yeah.
And Afro could be Afro beats, Afro house, umbrella term, and then under Afro house, because it's all house, Afro tech.
Sure.
And then there is let me see, Afro house, Afro tech, Afro deep.
Yeah.
That's like deep house, African influence music, sort of, you know.
No, that's dope.
But I also love how the sounds are evolved. Sorry, continue.
No. That's all I wanted to say. For people like myself who are not fully invested, Afro tech looks like it's on the rise. I know DJ Ankle Tap was introducing these two new kids that are pretty hot on the YFM breakfast show. I'm hoping that those kids are going to come through. One of the kids in Donayose KZN who actually grew up in the UK, and he's mixing, I think, Afro tech, drill, and some other local sounds and British sounds as well. I know there's a young guy who's jumped on, I think, all of our platforms stating how disappointed he is because Usbu said that he's going to come to institutions and we haven't come through, etc., etc. Guys, what DJ Sbu said? We are willing to come to your campus, whatever campus it may be. Of course, it has to be schedule allowing. That means we need to be available. We mustn't be working, and we must be able to come through. Number two, and this is the most important one, especially for that young guy that was commenting on all the different platforms saying that they're disappointed. DJ Sbu asked you to please meet us halfway. What that means is if you can tell us, we can actually fly you guys there, we can give you accommodation, it becomes easier for us. All we've said is we're willing to come to your campus to meet with you guys. We'll come with the cameras, we'll sit with you guys, we'll record content, and we'll hear your voices. But you can't just MON or via DM expect us to be like, come to tax, Mrs. Yavumbu. You know, like I said, with the Wits, Dlamini attorneys. Untap saying Dlamini.
Be careful what you ask for. But that's true though.
It's true. So we need you guys to understand, look, we do run businesses on the side. Our business monies have got their own responsibilities, whether it's paying staff, whether it's paying for operations, whether it's paying for marketing. And then there's some profits which we use for charity and other things and our families. We don't have as much money as you may think. So we always appreciate the gesture of getting, you guys know your SRCs have a lot of money. And it's money for education and uplifting the campus, which is what we want to do. If not, reach out to us with your SRC and say, look, this is as far as we can go. Can you guys come through? And then we can set dates and we'll come through. The other thing is we get a lot of DMs. So we may not respond as quickly as you'd like. So when you come and you just complain, you guys are disappointing, it's kind of sad to us because it disheartens us from what we're trying to do for you guys. We don't have to. We can stay here in Joburg and carry on doing this if we want. We don't even need to do this as well. But it's our attempt at trying to reach out to you. So the least you can do is take the initiative and go to a SRC and say, Usbuda no pen want to come through on the platform with some of Amachita that they work with. Please, can we get a little bit of budget? Even if Malio Petrol or whatever, can we house them even a res? Can we house them a res with at least and then they'll come through and we'll shoot content. But please meet us halfway. That's how you add value in our lives, and then we can appreciate you. But please do better. We expect you guys to do better. And I think on that note, I'd like to ask your opinions on the national shutdown, your EFF, in the last week. If you thought it was a success or a failure, because there were mixed reviews.
I think it was a success as far as, I don't know what is a success and I don't know what is not a success. But I just like the influence that I just like the shaking of Ifuba. Sometimes Ifuba may be footed to show the influence that you have. And on a serious note, it's always important to protest. for certain issues that you may be needing in your communities. I do know that Peñuel always says it all the time. Protesting doesn't work.
Marching.
But then again, or marching doesn't
I believe in
work.
protesting.
Oh, you believe in protesting?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So different people protest differently. Like I've said this on a lot of platforms that when we started MOFAYA, consciously from the beginning, when we started, it was a protest project.
Yeah.
We are protesting with this.
Yeah.
That's why when you're watching a lot of episodes with Body, sometimes there's Puza Mans, it's a protest project. Every time when you look at the scan, it must remind you of what we are protesting for. And I've preached this many times. And what we've been protesting for, we've been seeing, Tina, with our MOFAYA protesting project, some results. When we started, everybody else criticized us, but right now what I love is MOFAYA is about to turn 10, and it has inspired millions of South Africans to create their own MOFAYAs. Abo Theo went on to create Abo Patu. Abo, yes, we speak about Patu and Drip all the time, and there's many other brands that can make examples with. But what I wanted to say is that is our own form of protesting. Even now, just opening these cameras and sharing knowledge, that is our own form of contributing to society, because this is an educational platform. We are contributing. Somebody else can say, you guys are just sitting there,
Sure. Doing nothing.
Guys are doing nothing. This is not nothing. This is a lot of work. I could be doing stuff. He could be doing stuff. He's got a lot of work to do. He's got a family. He's got children. He's got a business. He's got things to do. I've got things to do. But we come out here to be together, coordinate time with the team so we can speak to you guys, our form of contributing to society. Coming back to last week's protest, for me, I believe it was a success because there was electricity everywhere, number one. And I don't want to say there was electricity because of the protest, but for whatever reason that it was, at least it was exposed. Electricity. And another person can say, yeah, but the reasons were that a lot of companies were not open, so not a lot of electricity was being used. If you're saying that, then it means the shutdown was a success, because then it means a lot of businesses were not open.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of businesses were open, but they were not as busy as they would normally be. Taxi ranks were not as busy as they would normally be. Streets and highways were not busy as they would normally. There was no traffic. So I can't believe in flexing their muscle, protesting EFF and doing a national shutdown. Kudos to them and for whatever they stand for. And they showed the country of how much influence they have. And when I listened to his speech a couple of days after, one of the things that he said, Mr. Julius Malema, is the road to unseating Cyril Ramaphosa has just begun.
Sure.
I was like, oh, so this is only the beginning. Bigger things to come. So you can just already tell. So this is like some sort of a program that they're taking to the streets or whatever they have planned under their sleeves to go and show their dissatisfactions about the current president. So that can be my reasons in explaining that last week's EFF's protest was a success.
I'll play a bit of devil's advocate, but not so much. Let me start off by congratulating the EFF. They set out to hold a protest and a march. They achieved that. That's a tick. That means they did that. Number two, they got a lot of businesses to close down on that day, which was their intention, and they achieved that. So that's a tick. During that time, of course, some people claim it's a coincidence. Some people are saying, but it was said in January that we'll have power reserves. The reality is, from unreiterated days, we've probably had over 250 days of load shedding. And for 3-4 days, we had power. There was no load shedding. And for some people out there, it's thanks to the EFF and Julius Malema and his leadership. So for having electricity, man, thank you so much. Some people might say it's got to do with Minister Sputla Ramokgopa. We don't know. He's only just started his job now. He's been doing a lot of tours around some of the power stations. He claims it's not corruption. Asazi kodwa sizobona. That's number one. Number two, on the Cyril Ramaphosa issue, because the other reason they wanted to march was because they were saying Cyril must step down. They believe some of the EFF supporters are hooligans. So they're like, we just don't want to deal with those kind of things. But they feel it wasn't a success. And for those people, they got whatever reaction they want. I'm glad that Julius and the EFF are on the road to remove Cyril. I have been very vocal in saying that I do not believe Cyril Ramaphosa is a good president for this country. A good president puts their country first. And I think Cyril, in my personal opinion, puts his family and his business associates before the needs of the country. Those of you that were following the news this past week will know that Vladimir Putin of Russia and Xi Jinping had a meeting. And in that meeting, one of the things they were discussing is that they're going to strengthen the trade between the two countries. The one thing they highlighted was already 2/3 of their trade is no longer in dollars, but in rubles from Russia and in yuan from China. And they're going to be growing that. And there are rumors now that both of those countries, which are very big players in BRICS, are looking to de-link from the American dollar, which is going to shift the world as we know it in a way you'll never understand. Saudi Arabia, I don't know if it's Iraq or Iran, have put their hands up saying they're looking to join BRICS. I think there's 1 or 2 other nations as well who are saying they want to join BRICS and to see the shift. Mexico is another country. A lot of people don't understand geopolitics, and that's fine. Go research if you have an interest. I want to say this because I saw Pumzile van Dam, who used to be with the DA, saying she doesn't understand why so many South Africans are applauding Russia when Russia is not even a big trade partner. Guys, we come from a history as a country where black people were oppressed and exploited by white people in their majority and what we call a white supremacist agenda. So we as black people understand the power of the underdog. And what we are seeing and all that's inspiring us is seeing a Russia, which is part of BRICS with us. They haven't isolated themselves to a G8 and saying, no, it's only us as America and France and these other nations. They are saying we are part of you as a developing nation. And understand, Russia's never colonized any nation. That's the other very important thing. They are saying we as Russia, we are going to stand up for Russians and we are not going to be bullied by Europe. We're not going to be bullied by America. And if it means you sanction us, it's fine. We've seen you sanction Zimbabwe. We've seen you sanction other nations. And because Russia has extended a hand to us in various times as a nation, that's why black South Africans will say, no, we stand with Russia. Because in South Africa, you're going to tell us we're not great trade partners, but what is being a trade partner with America doing for the black person who in a squatter camp? What is being a trade partner with the UK doing for Ukoko that's still waiting for a RDP and where So for them, you live in a privileged space where you like, but look at what America and Europe does for us. They don't know that. They don't see that. All they see is they see this short Russian man who is saying, I will not be bullied. The same way at some point we saw a short black man in Zimbabwe saying, I will not be bullied. You, Tony Blair, I think it was at the time, you keep your Britain and I will keep my Zimbabwe. So that's what inspires the black majority in South Africa to support a Russia as an example. And speak about Zimbabwe, there's a documentary that came out, which I'm not sure if you've seen, Al Jazeera.
I've seen a clip, or let me say I've seen some clips, and sometimes it's like listening to a song and saying you've listened to the album. I have not seen that documentary, but I might have seen a clip or two of a gentleman who seems to be like a pastor, I think. But at some point, I've seen him, the video that I'm seeing, it's like there's a hidden camera and he is not aware that he's being recorded.
Yeah.
And he speaks as if, now he can carry out presidential decisions, some presidential decisions, or he can even make signatures or act on behalf of the presidency without even the president being there. And there was talks of gold, there was talks of big deals, but I did not understand. And I told myself, okay, I'll give myself some time to watch this documentary before Monday, before myself and Penuel get to discuss. But for some reason, I ended up not watching that documentary. Can you please bring us up to speed? I may be wrong.
Not a problem. So I'll keep it very brief. Al Jazeera is let's call it an Arab media house, which is funded by the Qatari government or some of the leaders in Qatar, which is a very oil-rich nation. The reason it was set up was because they were tired of Western propaganda. And they said, we want our own voice. Something that we're trying to do with the Virtual Mkhukhu, the Hustlers Corner, and some of our platforms to say, we know there's a Media 24, News 24, we know there's an ENCA, we know there's an SABC, but we also have an opinion and a perspective when we do that. So they did that for themselves. And they've done a documentary, they did investigative journalism, where they went to uncover smuggling of gold in Zimbabwe. They link it to Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is the president of Zimbabwe, and some of the people around him. I think his daughter being one, Hubert Angel, who's a prophecy pastor in Zimbabwe as well. Please go and check it out. Al Jazeera Gold Mafia is what it's called. I made a video about it. I'm probably going to make more.
Go check it out, grab a link and come put it here so others can watch it on the comment section, yeah?
The important thing I want to highlight is this. We live in a world of propaganda. Propaganda is basically someone saying this person is right, that person is wrong, because they have an agenda which suits them when you believe them. Zimbabwe is a sanctioned country as far as we know. That means they can't trade with just anyone. Because of what happened with Robert Mugabe, because of what they call land grabs, which is in effect, Robert Mugabe is saying black people in Zimbabwe must get their land back. Something South Africans haven't experienced. If we were to do land grabs or get our land back, which was taken by the apartheid government, we might see ourselves sanctioned as well. So because of that, other nations, America and Europe and those ones, they said you can't do business here. And Zimbabwe is very rich in resources. So because of that, you still have to trade. But you can only trade with certain nations that are hidden. So what you call smuggling is you selling your own gold to willing buyers, but it's not according to what the West wants. But at the same time, it's also not according to the constitution of Zimbabwe. So even according to Zimbabwe, it's a crime. But they're doing it because they need those necessary funds to come in. Now, here's the major problem. The question becomes, okay, let's say Mnangagwa is involved. Let's say some of his people are involved, selling gold to Dubai and bringing money in. That money that comes in, is it serving the people of Zimbabwe? Or is it only enriching a few people? Today, there are people defending Cyril Ramaphosa and the money at Palapala that was found, the American dollars. And it's like, yeah, but it's his money. Is it really his money? Where is that money coming from? From a Sudanese businessman. Sudan in itself is a nation with a lot of turmoil and a lot of wars. What is the link there? Was that money declared, etc.? If it so happens that it was certain South African resources being sold and that money is coming in, is it benefiting the people of South Africa or only enriching Cyril Ramaphosa and his friends and his family? Those are the questions we need to ask. And at some point, I think I'm going to be making more videos about mining in South Africa, who the resources belong to, and when these resources get sold and the money comes in, who does that money actually enrich? Is it us? Is it maybe foreign companies that are operating here? Or is it some of the political leaders who are involved in certain corruption? Go check that out. The world, in my opinion, is run by criminals. Just because an American CNN or Fox, just because a British BBC, just because a CGTN from China or an RT from Russia is telling you that this is a crime does not necessarily mean it's a crime. Slavery was legal. Apartheid in this country was legal. But those things were unjust. And they were crimes against humanity. So be very careful of propaganda. While you're watching those documentaries, they mention a white guy, Ewan McMillan. They mention a white guy, Simon Rudland of Gold Leaf Tobacco in Zimbabwe. They mentioned an Indian Asian guy, Kamlesh Patni, and some other people that are involved. While you're watching those stories, try and research on the African continent, in America, in Europe, some of the fixers, some of the people that have been moving commodities for years out there in those spaces that were not called criminals because Africa did not have a voice. We don't go to America and say what you're doing is a crime against humanity and it's terrorism. We do not go to the UK and say those things. To this day in 2023, we're still waiting for a president of South Africa. We're still waiting for a king of the Zulus to go to the UK and say that what you guys did were crimes against humanity and we demand our gold bars back. We demand reparations. We demand you to come and remove your companies there. And we demand that you guys give back what you stole from us. Instead, what we're seeing is we're seeing Cyril visiting King Charles. They laugh. They have business relations between their families and their associates. But the people of the nations are still not benefiting. Again, you see China being lifted out of poverty by the work of Mao and Xi Jinping. We see the work of Russia moving up because of the work of Vladimir Putin. We see some other African leaders who are trying to say, if this will not benefit my people, I will not agree. But we are yet to see in South Africa leaders. We wanted that in Stephen Bantu Biko and Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe. We wanted that in Chris Hani. We have not seen leaders who have gone to the nations out there and told them to their face, you guys have never apologized to us. You guys have never paid reparations. You guys have, speaking about smuggling gold, King Charles, you and your family smuggled gold from our continent. When are you bringing it back? And why is that not a crime? And when is Al Jazeera going to cover the gold that you guys stole and have never brought back to our nation?
So that's what that documentary is all about.
Please go check it out.
So
Gold Mafia, Al Jazeera.
Gold Mafia, Al Jazeera.
But be careful of propaganda. I'm giving you my opinion and maybe you disagree. Maybe it's a crime. Maybe they were wrong. You know, I know a lot of people, because I've said Rutendo Matinyarare, have said we need to bring on a guy like Hopewell Chinono, who comes with a different angle as well. At the end of the day, for the Zimbabwean people, the question becomes whether it's a Hopewell, whether it's a Rutendo, whether it's a Joshua Maponga, who invited us for 20,000 Rand to come and mine gold, whether it's a Emerson Mnangagwa, it doesn't matter. The actions that these people are doing, is it in the best interest of the Zimbabwean people? There are South Africans today that are waiting for Zimbabweans to leave South Africa and go back home. Not because we hate you, but because we know Zimbabwe is your home and we would like your home to be better so that you can go back home and go build your home so that you can carry on being a good neighbor and we can do trade between each other. We know you're here because you're struggling. Some of you illegally so. We don't like you being here illegally. We understand some of you are stressed, but explain to us what the issue is and let's see if we can help you, like we were helped during apartheid, to go and make your home better so that you can go back home and build your home the way you would want. And then we'll also remove this xenophobic tension that we have in this nation.
I think we can leave it there for today. We've discussed all the topics. Now we've done the national shutdown, we've done the documentary, we've done the new radio season. We've spoken about, we've done everything.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a great week.
Virtual Mkhukhu, guys, please don't forget to support the Hustlers Corner. Don't forget to support our individual platforms. We love you guys very much. We read all your comments. We need those comments. Give feedback on what we're wearing, on what we promote. If you disagree, please disagree, but with respect. Usbu's been spending a lot of time with his mom. I know we didn't get a chance to today, but please spend time with your elders. A lot of the young kids, we spoke about this off air, a lot of the young kids are disrespectful because they haven't been trained on how to hlonipha. Sorry, and allow him to then say, okay, what do you want to do? We spoke about xenophobia now. You don't just go into someone's home without asking. Even if you do it illegally. Once usungenile bafethu sicela ukunichazela our story. Let us explain our story to you and why we're here. Please help us. We can get refugee status and whatever, but also help us fix our home so that we can go back home ultimately, which is what we want. We love you guys. We believe in you guys, and we hope to visit some of your institutions soon and to build with you.
And once again, the reason why this episode dropped on a Tuesday, we're still experimenting. We want to see how well it's going to do. If we feel maybe Mondays are better, let's stick to Mondays, 12 o'clock, which is what we've built over the past year. Let's hear from you and let's see how this episode performs on a Tuesday. Love you guys. See you next week. Thank you.